So any questions before we get started?
Um, yeah, I'm not sure even what to ask. I've given you a pretty full picture, I think, of what's going on. So you can get started and I'll ask questions when I have them.
Okay, so it looks like you're in a foster adopt situation,
Yeah,
and you have 7 to 10 days to give them an answer.
probably if I had 14 days, they'd be fine. They don't want her back. You know, they'd prefer she stays. And
Sure.
what I meant by that is because of where I live, I have to see progress within a week. If I don't, she's very smart, I've learned. If I don't see progress within a week, then it probably won't work out because I just can't, living at where I live, I just can't have a dog. I can't, I mean, right now I have anxiety every time I take her for her walk. Bob comes with me every time because of how unruly she gets. Now, in just the short time I've owned her, since I've had her, I got her like on Sunday, I picked her up from the shelter at 3 in the afternoon. So it's been like just 2 days, you know, Monday, Tuesday.
Uh-huh.
And she's so much better in every way. I've even got her doing heel next to me. And she's never had a leash. She was yanking me all over the place the first day. So I know she's real smart. I bought a dog training video program from a woman who trains trainers, and I've been following that for all these basics. But what she's doing when we see another dog is, I don't know, you know, that's way beyond any training program. And that's why I wanted to talk to you.
What do you walk her on? Is it a harness or a flat collar?
Well, I am at Bob's direction. I have a pinch collar on her now, and she was just uncontrollable with a regular, I don't know what they call that, a kind of a cloth collar that chokes a little bit. That wasn't, I could barely hold her back. She actually pulled me a little bit the first time until I realized, you know, she's going nuts here. So the pinch collar, the other thing I started doing when we see another dog, I actually straddle her with my legs. I put my legs tight against her. So her hind quarter, she can't jump. I'm right, because I'm big. I'm 5'8". I'm 160 pounds. She can't push me around much. And that calms her, actually. I can feel her, and then I pet her, and that has stopped her from jumping all over, but she's ready to pounce the minute I move.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Um,
And often her tail is wagging. I honestly don't think she's sometimes at least, getting ready to attack. Maybe she wants to play, but she's lunging and leaping and barking, you know.
right. So reactivity doesn't always mean aggression.
Mm-hmm.
It can be like similar to a child throwing a temper tantrum.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's possible that she wants to play, but you know, dogs don't have language like we do. So like if a kid's throwing a tantrum, they're like, I want that toy. So even though they're screaming, you know it's because they want that toy. Whereas
and she's
for dogs,
never been held back with a leash before. She was in the family that let her out and she'd run away. That's why they gave her, she'd run away.
gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what made you pick, is it Mia or Maya?
Mia.
Mia. What made you pick Mia?
Well, they misled me a bit, but I worked in the past, I've had Mastiffs, and she was billed as a Mastiff. But when I saw the picture, she's only 80 pounds. And I could see that, you know, she's not, she was a Mastiff mix of some kind. And they only had one picture of her, but she matched they said she was good with kids, good with dogs. She's real pretty. I thought she was a Mastiff, or at least mostly Mastiff and she wasn't that far away, and she was available now. Everybody else had, you know, a month, 3 months. They don't even call you back when you send in the adoption papers. So they called me, they liked that I knew Mastiffs. So they're about 270 miles away. I get there and I'm going, She looks like a pit bull.
Sure.
Well, it turns out there were the rescue people, and then there was the Mastiff rescue group where I got her. And that woman admitted, she said, yeah, she's got some Mastiff in her, but yeah, she agreed she's probably more pit bull. But she was such a little sweetheart, and I thought, I'm going to give this a chance. And she's turned out to be, she has none of the behavior problems I've had other dogs have. She's not barking like nuts when someone comes to the door. She doesn't jump on people. She doesn't forage around for any food I might have left out. She doesn't bark if I've only left her alone not more than 5 minutes just to run out, keeping in mind I've only had her 2 days. And she's waiting by the door, but not barking, making trouble. They told me she was crate trained, and they didn't. I told them, well, I'll buy the crate from the owner. Well, the crate wasn't there, and actually I haven't needed it. She found where she likes to sleep, and she's been fine both nights. And she doesn't chew on, I mean, she has no behavioral problems of any kind inside.
How old is she?
Well, they told me she was 2, but then their paperwork when I got her said 3. They just don't know anything about this dog. She's 2 or 3. You want to see her? Okay.
So it typically takes dogs 2 weeks before you start to see their true personality.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So like you said, you're only 2 days in.
Right.
Doesn't mean none of those things can change or can't change.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So just be aware of that, because I've had people get dogs and loves everybody.
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks to a month later, about 2 to 4 weeks, all of a sudden the dog's aggressive towards the wife or the husband or people coming over, or showing resource guarding. Because it's similar to, like, for children, like let's say at one school they were like very popular,
Mm-hmm.
then they moved to a new state and a new school.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not going to just come in and be popular, right? Like they have to like find their group and like find themselves within the school, and then they may become popular,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because that's just like personality-wise, that's what they're like.
Wow.
So it's the same thing for dogs. Like right now, she's still finding her place within the home. Okay, so the fact that she's showing reactivity right off the bat, because typically that's something that can sometimes take a client time to see. Again, they'll take them 2 to 3 weeks before they see like, oh yeah, the dog's got reactivity issues. Mm-hmm. Separation anxiety, is another one. Once she gets attached to you, because you said you've only been able to leave, or you've only left up to 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. But what happens when you're gone for 8 hours if you have to leave for 8 hours?
Well, I'll find out tomorrow what happens if I'm gone for 2 hours, because I'm going to have lunch with some friends. Mm-hmm. And what I've arranged is, if the doorman gets a call that she's barking or making problems, if someone complains, then Bob loves her. Bob will come and get her. So okay. I'm lucky to have a couple resources in the building. So I'll find that out a little more tomorrow.
Okay. Are you working from home, or
Yeah, I'm a realtor, and okay. I'm working from home most of the time, and even when I'm busy, I'm not gone all day.
Okay.
I can be, but
No, yeah. So, because separation anxiety can also be, like, let's say she doesn't have it, right?
Uh-huh.
So, like, because of quarantine, a lot of my clients whose dogs didn't have separation anxiety, but then as soon as they started working from home, because mm-hmm. the dog got so used to them being home all the time, the dog developed separation anxiety.
I see.
Okay. So separation anxiety isn't something that the dog is genetically like wired to have. Right. It's created through the relationship with the human and the environment and what the environment nurtures. Okay. Mm-hmm. So what I would suggest is, actually, if you're not going to do a crate, to at least separate her from you, whether it be in a different room or so. Mm-hmm. When you work from home. And I always mm-hmm. tell people, do like a 9 to 5. So like my clients that work from home, from 9 to 5, their dog is crated, and then midday they'll take their dog and walk them for their potty break and give them their lunch if it's a puppy, and then they'll crate them for the remainder of the day. So when they go back to working at the office, it's not a shock to the system that the dog has to be crated and then the owner is gone. Like,
well,
at least
I'm not against having a crate. If you, I'm ready to do whatever you recommend. So if you think having a crate is good, what I've noticed is sometimes if I'm here working at my desk and, you know, she's laying here, right? I actually have her locked in here with me because my cleaning lady's here. But she warmed up to the cleaning lady within a couple minutes too. And then, but I'll often be looking for her and she's lying down in my bedroom in the dark, just by herself, taking a little break, whatever it is. So,
yeah,
but I'm not against getting a crate. I just, you know.
Yeah, no, with what you've seen so far, right? But I'm going by what we haven't seen, because it's always best to be a step ahead than to come home and she's destroyed, you know, a couch or something.
Right.
And plus, if we were to see issues with the crate, I mean, I pick and choose battles. Like if it's like she's fine outside of the crate, like I personally don't care. But you know, I've come into homes where the dog, you know, destroyed everything, you know, because they thought the dog was going to be fine. Then they left it for too long, and the dog got bored.
Yeah.
You know, so we'll see what happens with that. In regards to the reactivity stuff, okay, because you need to see it. You said a change within a week. Right.
I need to see something improved because she's so unmanageable. Like I say, I'm uncomfortable taking her out by myself because we can't avoid seeing you've been here, as I understand.
Yeah, I know.
I can't avoid seeing dogs in the park across the street. The other day, I just didn't want to take a chance of having someone on the elevator. I made her go down 8 flights of steps. She was fine with that. So
more exercise, right?
Yeah, and I can walk up 8 flights, so if we had to, but that's not, you know, that's not workable to me.
No, I understand. Like I had a client that used to go 20-something flights.
Yeah.
Yeah, because her dog, she used to go at like at 3 o'clock in the morning, 20-something flights. She just can't avoid dogs.
Yeah.
So with e-collar, it does make things more easily and more quickly addressed, right? But every case is different.
Right.
The biggest or the biggest kind of, I guess, hump I would expect in your case is that elevator setting, because it's a tight, it's an enclosed space.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm confident.
What I can do pretty well for a while is if another dog is in there, I just won't get in. Or if I'm in and another dog wants to get in, I would tell him, you know what, she's real reactive. If you don't mind, wait for the next one. I would do that.
Okay, yeah. I mean, that makes things easier because I'm just like, I'm thinking my timeline is a week, right?
Thank you.
Yeah, right. So, and then not that I can't get it done that quickly, but it's a lot of information.
Yeah.
And then it's just, now you gotta do it.
Yeah.
Right. So e-collar will help kind of expedite the process, but it's still going to take time. Yeah. Okay.
Do you feel like it's possible, knowing now that what I know, I thought maybe she was half Mastiff, half Lab, but she's clearly Pit Bull. And with, you know, and I know there are lots of controversies around that, but have you seen dogs get over it totally?
Yes and no. So there's one, actually, a video that I recommend that you watch. It's a dog, it's on my YouTube channel. The dog's name is Lake.
Okay.
And it's in my highlight video reel.
Okay.
Okay. Now, Lake came to me from 2 other trainers that got no results. And I essentially got it done within 1 class.
Wow.
Okay. Now, not every case is like this.
Right.
Okay? But what the owners have struggled with, so that the methods worked instantly.
Right.
But then she started to have trouble again.
Right.
And the reason is because the owners weren't correcting her or continuing to correct her at the level needed because they saw so much progress so quickly. Okay, so it can create a false sense of security in the sense of like, oh, she's better now, I don't need to be so strict. And I go, no, you always have to be as strict as needed to keep the dog's behavior in check. Okay. So when we talk about dog behavior, I think the impression most people have is you get the dog trained, and once it's trained, the dog should know to be a good dog and stop doing things. And that's not how it works. Okay. So I'm gonna, like, I explain everything. I'm very transparent so that you're aware of like what you're getting into, and then you decide yes or no. Okay. So, do you drive?
Yeah, she seems real good in the car. That's good.
You go on the expressway?
Yeah.
Do you go the speed limit?
No, I always go faster.
Right. So, if you see a squad car, what do you do?
If I see us, well, I slow down a little.
A little, or do you go to speed limit?
Oh, well, a little usually. Sometimes I'm going too fast and it's too obvious.
You're daredevil. Daredevil. So, what that's called is opportunistic behavior. Okay. So, all animals have this. It's a part of survival and survival instinct. Is to take advantage of situations. Okay. So, most people do not go the speed limit. If anything, people get mad when people do go the speed limit. At least when it comes to the expressway and the highways, the inner city streets, people tend to be more compliant, right? Because there's people around, there's pedestrians, things like that.
Right.
But when people are on the expressway and they see no squad car, they know there's no threat of consequence unless there's like a camera or something, right? So dogs are the same way. Okay, so think of that e-collar. Think of that e-collar or pinch collar or both of those collars as cops on a collar.
Right.
So when that collar is present, if you've done your training and she respects the method, which I can make happen, it's just a matter of do you do the homework, is she's going to behave herself. Okay? And if you try to go out without those tools, she's going to go, hey, those cops aren't here today. I'm going to do the behaviors because I know I can get away with it. Okay? So a child can be taught, you do not take things that are not yours because it is wrong. You do not call people names because it hurts their feelings, right? And a child can learn, like, take that in, interpret it, and just go like, I don't say bad things to people because I don't want to hurt their feelings, right? Dogs don't do that. Okay, she doesn't think, oh, when I'm lunging and barking, mom doesn't like that, and it makes her feel anxious, so I'm going to stop doing it. That makes sense?
Yep.
So,
and I think I've noticed under one of her arms, she has a puncture wound, and it's not fully healed. So I think she had, they told me at the rescue that there was a bigger dog, and also part Mastiff, that didn't like her. So I called yesterday and I said, you guys told me she gets along with other dogs. Is that true? Because they kind of misled me on a few things. And I said, would you check on how did they determine that? I need to know more about that. I haven't heard back yet. But I wondered if, I know she's at some point gotten into something. I'm taking her to the vet tomorrow and he'll look at it and tell me if he thinks it's a tooth or did she try to jump a fence and a wire stuck her or something, who knows?
Yeah. I'm not going to speak on behalf of the rescue, like to judge, but it's not uncommon that happens.
Yeah.
I had a client, they rescued a dog and they said the dog had no issues whatsoever and the dog clearly had issues. But at that point, the people felt guilty. Oh. And they didn't want to return the dog. No. So
I won't feel guilty. I love her, but it's like I said in my thing, I love to go on walks. I want to have her with me. I don't expect her to never have she'll see a squirrel, who knows what. Right. But I can't, it's anxiety right now. And that's,
Oh, yeah, I completely, I get it. Yeah. It's very common, Yeah. So, when we start the training, so the reason why I mentioned about like the cop on a collar and stuff is people most commonly ask, well, when does the collar go away? And I'll tell them when you need it, it doesn't. Right. So if, let's say she turns out a great dog inside the home, no separation anxiety, super chill, loves people who come over. It's just when we go for walks, then that's when you need the collar.
Right.
Okay. Now it's not that you're always using it now and forever. Yeah. But the presence of it, again, just keeps her in check. But if needed, like let's say you turn the corner and there's a dog.
Yeah.
Right? Like you might get a reactive moment because it just happened, and it's very common, is you have the means to control her and stop and de-escalate the behavior. Okay. And over time, yet you can resolve those issues. They just take longer because you can't plan for someone turning around the corner as you are.
Right.
Okay. And you know, we would, in your case, I would use both the pinch with the e-collar because I would give you the most control. Both physically and mentally. The pinch collar gives you more immediate control. Right. You can control her head. And the e-collar is what's going to give you the ability to actually shut down the reactivity. Okay. So in your particular case, the way I go about this is we don't go out looking for dogs so that, you know, she's being reactive. I actually teach her, and I know you mentioned that she like knows or heels nicely or something like that.
Oh, she's learning to. Not yet. I mean, she's not dragging me around the way she did on Sunday night.
Okay. Yeah. Is we would teach her my style of heel. Okay. If I take one step, the dog takes one step. If I take 5 steps, the dog takes 5 steps. When I stop, the dog automatically sits.
That's what I want. Yeah.
This is a completely slack leash. I don't care what the environment is. I don't care if we're at Grand Park. I don't care if we're in the hallway, the elevator, Petco. I want that level of obedience, okay?
Right.
And it sounds like it would take a long time, but it doesn't. Okay. The methods that I have now, I've developed and improved over like years of working with people. That it's very easy to achieve. The hardest thing that people struggle with is the number of on the e-collar. Okay. So this is what's actually holding back Lake's family is, you know, she's doing better now because we made some adjustments, but they kept struggling with reactivity. And every time she was with us, she was great. When she would train with us, she was always great. But in their neighborhood, she wouldn't be that good. And I was like, well, that tells me, because we were training at Oz Park, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with Oz, super busy.
Right.
And their neighborhood is Portage Park, which is calm, right? And they're like, why? I was like, you know, they're like, why is the dog better here at a busier environment, but not at home? And I said, most likely because you're not correcting her at the level she needs to be corrected. Because when I'm at Oz, I'm telling them what to do number-wise. Yeah. Okay, so to give you an idea, the e-collar goes 0 to 127 in increments of 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 127. Okay. Cheaper model e-collars would go to 10, for example. Right. And it doesn't mean that I have 117 more levels. It means that 10 and 127 are the same, but I have 117 more divisions. Right. Okay. So on the cheaper models, you know, 3, the dog could be yelping, and 2, the dog is not listening. So now you have this gap. Okay. But with my collar, I could be at 40. If it's too high and 30 is too low, well, I can go to 35, 34, 36. Okay. I can really fine tune it. And they were stuck on the lower, I think they were at 35 to 40, and then they went to 50, but really the dog needs 70 to 80. Oh, so, yeah. So, and that's what's holding them back.
Now, is it an actual shock or a vibration, or what is it?
Have you ever been to a chiropractor or a physical therapist?
No, actually not.
Have you heard of a TENS unit?
A what?
A TENS unit. TENS.
No.
No? So, if you go to a chiropractor or a physical therapist, they have a machine, and it's called a TENS unit. Okay? And they put these little circle probes with wires on your muscle. Right. And it's a current that moves the muscles. Okay? Right. And it only moves those muscles because that's where all the lines are. Okay. That's an e-collar. So it's not
Oh.
like a taser. It's not like, sticking your finger in an outlet. It's not electrocution. It's a
Mm-hmm.
muscle contraction.
Mm-hmm. Would
Okay?
I feel it if I put the collar on my hand?
Correct. So
Yeah.
there's two probes, right? And then you would hold it down and you would find like your thumb would twitch because that's
Mm-hmm.
where the current is.
Yeah.
Okay. But you would feel nothing over here,
Right.
just
Okay.
here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So for the dog, it's on the neck. You would see this.
Yeah.
And if you go to like on our YouTube channel,
Mm-hmm.
you'll see with some of the dogs, you'll see a very big twitch. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the stronger the twitch, the more discomfort the dog feels. Okay.
Right.
So the reason why e-collar, in my opinion, is the most effective tool is one, I can match the dog. So like I had a young lady, she was like maybe 5 foot tall,
Mm-hmm.
90 pounds,
Mm-hmm.
and she had a 150-pound Great Dane.
Yeah.
Okay. So her dog was on a pinch collar and an e-collar. Okay. Because her 90 pounds was not going to control the 150-pound dog.
Right.
And I think the dog's level was like 40 to 60.
Mm-hmm.
And physically, she was not going to be strong enough to control the dog.
Mm-hmm.
But the collar compensated for that.
Right.
So we use discomfort to create the respect factor of, even though this person's 90 pounds,
Mm-hmm.
you need to listen.
Yeah.
Okay. And it allows me to do that with the press of a button. Okay. With the pinch collar, it's a good tool. I'm glad that you're using it, and you've already seen the difference in terms of the cloth collar to that one.
Mm-hmm.
But it takes either a bit of physical strength because you still have to restrain the dog, or if you try to correct her, because a prong collar is meant to bite. That's why it looks like those teeth.
Yeah.
Okay. So if she was being reactive, you would technically yank the collar to create this motion to stop the behavior.
Yeah.
But one, if she's too intense, you're not going to match the intensity. Okay.
No, and it doesn't, it stopped it for that second, and then she's ready for the next one, and it becomes holding it tight the whole time.
Correct. And
But
what we're trying to do here is stop and prevent it.
That's right.
Okay? That's the goal.
Yeah.
So you're not electrocuting the dog. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You can go online and you'll read stuff like you're torturing the dog or electrocuting or shocking.
Yeah.
There's a bit of drama in the dog training world. There's positive only, which is all through food.
Right.
And then there's trainers like myself that use pinch and prong, and I also use food. I just don't rely on it for a case like this because it's not going to work.
Yeah, the results we've had, which are really, really good, are based on giving her treats. And like you said, if she heals for 2 steps with me, then I give her a treat. You did good. I've got her to sit. I've got her to go down. We're beginning to stay. And the treats are working great for that. But it's clear there's no way for me to catch her doing something right without, it's just, this is the only way. This is the only way. I know that.
So treats and positive reinforcement are good for things you want to see again.
Yeah.
Okay. But terrible for stopping things.
Yeah.
That's what aversives are for.
Yeah.
Okay. So like me growing up, I was raised old school. I was spanked.
Mm-hmm.
So if I didn't do my homework, if I talked back to my mom, or if I just got out of line, I got spanked for each one of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, to stop those behaviors, or in some cases to motivate a behavior, like to behave myself while we were at church, so I didn't get spanked.
Yeah.
So dogs discipline each other, but they discipline each other through biting.
Mm-hmm.
That they're physical animals. They bite each other. They don't say, "Would you please, settle down?" It's making other dogs uncomfortable that you're lunging and barking. Like, they don't do that. Okay.
Right.
So the e-collar essentially allows us to bite Mia at the press of a button. So I call it a bite on the button.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first thing we would do is actually teach her how to walk, like I said, my style. And then we see, what does that fix? Because that's exactly what I did with Lake. Is I told the owners, because Lake actually bit one of the owners' dad, and was super reactive. Okay.
Okay.
And I told them, I know the issue is here, right? I know what we're dealing with, but I want to see, what does discipline fix? Okay. And had they continued with that level of discipline, Lake would have just continued to make more progress. You know, but because they saw so much progress so quickly, they went easier on her, which then caused her to regress.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, would a dog ever turn on the owner? Would they associate this impulse in their neck with, my owner did this to me, and want to hurt the owner?
No, so that's one of the reasons why e-collar is effective, because the dog doesn't know where it's coming from.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Now, what can happen is if there's already aggression towards the owner. Okay, the dog has already done it before.
Right.
And we try to confront the dog with the e-collar. That I would expect possibly we'll see something, depending on the context.
Right.
Okay, but there was already like
bad blood.
Yeah, there's already stuff there, right?
Yeah.
And you know, but I'll tell the owner, I'll tell him like, hey, you know, we shouldn't see anything, and I'm gonna operate in a way that we don't see anything, but we still fix the issue as best we can. But just know that because your dog has already shown these tendencies towards you, you may see them. Okay, and then the owner has to make the decision based off of that. Okay, but the only other thing that could potentially happen is what we call redirected aggression. And that's when, let's say her reactivity is really bad, right? And you know, we're on class 2 to 3 or whatever, and we're working on stopping the behavior. And you have to keep going up higher on the collar until you find the appropriate number that's going to teach her like to stop.
Yeah.
Is the redirected aggression is when the dog is so escalated and pissed off that they bite the closest thing, which is going to be the handler.
Okay.
Okay. Now I do tell people what to do, but in your case, you have an 80-pound you know, dog. You have a very large dog.
Yeah.
And I can typically see it before it's going to happen. Like there's little things that the dog will do. Like right away in the beginning, you'll start to see the dog snapping to the side, and I'll know like, oh, I'm expecting to redirect. So then I start prepping the owner, or we decide what we want to do, because maybe the owner just doesn't want to work with that, you know?
She did start snapping to the side, like to the metal collar. She didn't bite me, but she did start turning to the side when I was pulling on the collar.
That's a redirect.
Okay.
Now, and if you go to my YouTube channel, there's a dog, the dog's name is Malachite. And her second lesson, if you want to see what redirect looks like, her Malachite lesson 2 is a good video to watch. Because she was biting and pulling at the collar and also pulling with her paws. Okay, so she didn't redirect towards the owner, she redirected towards the leash, which is very common.
Yeah.
Okay? But you're gonna see exactly how much the owner had to like fight the dog to get the dog to stop. Okay, because I want you to have a very clear picture. I'm not saying that this will happen.
Yeah.
I'm saying that if you're not ready for this kind, like I know what I'm gonna see potentially. I've worked with this for 10 years, right? But for the owners, they're like, is this normal? Like, what do I do here? And I want you to go in thinking like, okay, this is what I'm expecting. I'm ready for it. And then we can move forward. Okay. But I can, you know, for the most part, see these things about to happen and then educate the owner. So I you know, obviously I'm trying to keep everybody safe, get control of the dog and all that stuff. But it's part of the process. Like I've been bitten like 5 times in my career. Working with dogs, like it's just part of the process. But my job is to, of course, get you the control that you want, but as safely as possible. So, questions so far?
Well, is this something that I notice you have some in-person lessons? I mean, I would want you to be there when I do this the first couple of times, right? Okay. All right.
So we do 2 types of in-person.
Yeah.
We do in-person where we travel to you, and we do in-person at Oz Park. Okay. So before COVID, I used to travel to everybody in the city. You know, I'd be all over the place.
Right.
And I actually used to live over by you on 11th and Wabash.
Oh, okay.
So, but because of COVID, you know, because I would see as many as 8 people in a day, and I had at one point 30 to 40 clients, and then COVID happened and then went to 0. Is I go into a lot of homes. So it's trying to operate post-COVID, but still operate safe where I'm not, you know, if one client had it and they weren't aware of it, but then I'm going to 7 other people's homes, like it's, you know.
I get it, yeah.
So the reason why we work at Oz Park is because, one, like I said, it's a very realistic environment. And it allows me to see more people in a day because they come to me, but also we can social distance. Okay, so you get the balance of, we're working outside, there's lots of things going on, and I'm not worried about, you know.
Do you do that as a group, you mean, at Oz Park?
No, it's one-on-one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one-on-one.
So the other people are just, you know, other people out there with their dogs.
Correct. Okay, so it's a very busy, realistic environment, and that has its own rate, its own cost or whatever. And then I just started doing in-person at your location. Okay? Now that comes at a higher rate because now everybody's coming to me. So then if it's pulling me away from that, it takes more time, you know.
Of course. I get it.
So, and Maria will update you on all that. She'll send you the cost and everything like that.
Okay.
But you have both of those available to you. So I, you know, I don't have a problem going to Grant Park to work with you and all that stuff because that's your neighborhood. But they would just be at a different rate than the in-person at Oz. Okay. So if all you're really worried about is getting this behavior under control, you have a couple of options. Okay. So what determines length of time and cost is what you're trying to achieve.
Right.
Okay? And if it's like, Jesse, I just want to walk my dog in peace. I don't want any reactivity. I don't care about socializing. That's all I need.
When you, what do you mean by socializing?
Like, let's say you wanted to see if she was capable of like socializing with the dog. Like, we know she's dog friendly from what the rescue said, right?
Well, we think she might be.
Quote unquote, right?
Yeah.
And then it's possible that she was. Like, let's say that little puncture, maybe it wasn't her fault. Maybe the other dog just like picked a fight with her and bit her, and she was completely non-aggressive.
Yeah, I don't think, Well, yeah, I was just assuming, because they told me the other dog was the aggressor, that if it was from a dog, it would have been not that she was. Well, and I just in my reading, it seems that behavior, again, this is a dog that's not used to being on a leash at all.
Yes, and that's a new thing as well.
You know, she's not as safe on a leash. She, you know, whereas at the rescue, they have them in a place where they're running around, you know.
Yeah, and it's very different. Because the other thing is you give her something to protect.
Yeah.
You know, so like, let's say maybe they show you videos and pictures, like, here she is, right? But people don't factor in that when the dog goes into a home and settles, that's why I said it takes 2 to 4 weeks before you're going to see the true like scope of Mia.
Okay.
Is, you know, like right now, she could be great with everybody coming over, and then after a month, she becomes protective of the home.
Yeah.
You know, like that can happen. Like, I don't know if it will. It's just
right.
potential.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm telling you, so that you don't fall into a false sense of security, thinking that it's just this one issue when potentially others could arise. What works to your benefit is that you're being proactive and you're saying, okay, you've only been here for a day or 2, but I'm going to get this addressed now. Okay.
Yeah.
Most people tend to wait a period of time. And by the time I come in, it's already been happening for 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay. So if your primary concern is just the reactivity and the leash walking stuff, then my shortest program is my 3-week program. Okay. Which is essentially 3 classes, 1 day a week. Okay. And it's tailored specifically for reactivity. So first class, we're teaching my style of heel, and I'll try to give you some guidance on the reactivity. So it's typically hour. Okay. Now, you're really paying for my time. So if you told me, Jesse, I want you to teach me everything I need to know to get the reactivity under control, the first class, you can do a 2-hour class. Okay. And then, but you would only have an hour left over in that program.
I've understood that sometimes that's not a very good idea to have, that long a session. It is better to break it up. So
Yeah.
I'm assuming that we have an hour class, and my assignment is every time I walk her, which is, 3 times a day, maybe a
Correct.
4th time, that's our practice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
no,
I think I would probably do the other. And now that I'm getting understanding, like I say, this was the weirdest thing, Jesse. They didn't take any money from me. They didn't have me fill out certain paperwork. They hadn't even gotten her, they were pretty sure the rabies shot wasn't there. I'm going to the vet tomorrow. She got a list of shots that didn't include rabies. Like, what? So, yeah, so she's getting that tomorrow. So I think what I have to call and say, this adopting period, I don't know, they're way out in the sticks in Indiana. Even their adoption fee is only $100. Around here is like $400 to $600.
Right.
So I think I will just call them and say, I'm investing a lot in this dog, but a final adoption decision won't be made for a month. Okay. Not this 2-week crap,
Sure.
And I think they'll be fine because, they don't want her back.
Right.
So we'll do, I'm thinking the 3-week program, and I'll read about it all more when Maria sends me the fees. I think she's real good in the car. To go in the car to Oz Park, I mean, it's a similar environment. I don't think it would matter.
Yeah. So
it's easier for you. It doesn't bother me that much. So.
Yeah. And it'll be like expensive considering, the situation with the foster to adopt and all that.
Yeah.
And then, so she's 80 pounds.
So what are the other, you said that's the one for reactivity. What other, what other things would I want her to do? I don't even know. I'd be so happy if she's that good on the leash and the reactivity, because everything else she seems real good at so far anyway. I don't know what else I'd ask you to train her to do.
I mean, there's more obedience in terms of control.
Oh.
Maybe you decided, like, I would like to see if I can socialize her like yourself,
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry so much about the dog park because there's so many variables there. Some people bring dogs that shouldn't be at dog parks.
Right.
And then, like, maybe she's fine, but if a dog tries to mount her, maybe she doesn't like that.
Yeah.
Like things like that. And then maybe there's a dog that likes to mount dogs, and that's a problem. But like, if you have a friend who has a dog and you'd like to, like, know or learn how to socialize her, like in the longer program, we'd be able to cover that. I also have other clients who are looking to socialize their dogs, so I could put you in touch with them, and you can coordinate with them to, like, socialize your dogs and things like that. And they're same people, just like you, same boat, reactivity, things like that. There's recall, which is come when called in case you ever got off leash or were to be off leash. If you're like one to, like, go to restaurants and want to bring her with you and have her laying at your feet and not move for a couple hours, and you get up to off leash level control. It just depends on what your life with Mia is going to look like. Yeah. I think for now, the 3-week, considering it's a foster to adopt, is up your alley. Yeah. And then winter's going to hit, and you can always come back in the spring or in the summer, and everything's going great. You're like, Jesse, reactivity's great. Everything's going awesome. I would like to be able to do more things with her, and I want more control. You could always do more classes then.
That's what I picture as just right, because, like, I go to, I have a cottage in Michigan that I notice a lot of people are there, and they have these calm dogs, and they don't have them on a leash and all of that. And I'll bring her with me, but I don't know. We'd have to be in a totally different situation for me to let her off leash there, but I'm okay with her. She can sit by me outside and be on the leash if her reactivity is under control. Yeah. So I bought one of those 20 because I have this video class that's based totally on positive reinforcement.
Right.
And it's one of these leashes that's 20 feet long.
Right.
Not a leash, but you know, a lead of some kind.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I can work with her on that on recall, but that's a second, you know, that's a priority way down the list right now. So I think your 3-week program is just right.
Yeah. The other thing is going to be the cost of the collar. The collar that I recommend, so guess we'll have to see how this plays out. So they recently discontinued the collar that I would actually recommend for you. Okay. So there's 2 options that you have. One, I believe with I'm not sure how much it is with tax. I believe the price is $299.99. And from what the company has told me, they said that was the replacement for the brand that or the model that they recently discontinued. Okay. So, but I have not used it yet. And we'll send you this information. We'll send you the make and model, and then you can go and you can purchase them on Amazon or whatever. The other one that I recommend is the model's called the Dogtra, DOGTRA 2300 NCP. And it's meant for 70-pound dogs and under. Okay. The collar that you would use before it was discontinued was meant for 70-pound dogs and over. Okay?
I wonder why they discontinued.
I don't know.
Usual thing. We've got something else that'll be better and we can charge more.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, even if I found a used one, if it's discontinued, you can't get the batteries or whatever else you're supposed to get.
You can replace the batteries. You can replace the batteries. I believe you could still send it in for, to the company for them to repair. But it just wouldn't be covered by a warranty. You'd have to, pay that out of pocket. Now you can find the model that I'm looking for. It's just, you'd have to like dig.
Yeah.
Like I've had people be able to find that particular model, and it's the Dogtra 3500.
eBay is amazing.
Yeah. But it's the Dogtra 3500 NCP.
Right.
Super X.
Okay.
And it has 0 to 127 levels. Okay. Now, because they made another model and it's called the 3500X, and that one is not good. Okay.
I wrote down Super X. And the 2300 NCP, how many levels? Oh, no, I'm sorry, not that one. The, did you give me you didn't give me the number of the replacement model.
The replacement one, I believe, is the Dogtra 1900S Black.
And how many levels is that?
It's 127.
It's the same.
It's the output that's different. It's the intensity. So like let's say in the 2300, the number could be 60.
Right.
And in the 3500, the number would be 40. Because there's more output. So you get more from less.
But you're saying the 2300, we probably should just take off the list because she's bigger than that. She's not going to get smaller. Right.
Now, it's possible that she's super sensitive and she doesn't need a ton of power. But I'm trying to,
I doubt it. Based on how she is with the collar, I don't think she's super sensitive.
Okay. Is I'd opt for, trying to get the Super X if you can. And, let's say things don't go well with Mia, I'll buy it off of you.
Okay.
Okay. It's a good collar. Like I have 3 of them here that we use in my facility. Cause when I found out that they were discontinuing it, I bought a few.
Okay.
Well,
I'll look for that. Like I say, I'm shocked sometimes at what you can find on eBay.
Yeah. And if you can find a new one, I'd suggest, getting a new one so you get that warranty. It's about a year. They might even offer an extended warranty.
Yeah.
It's the best brand in my opinion. I've used them for going on 8 to 10 years. They're very consistent, very reliable, fully waterproof, both the transmitter and the receiver. Half mile range, which is obviously plenty of range for the standard family pet.
Right.
It provides me with the most consistency or the most consistent results when training.
Yeah.
There are other models out there, but they're either cheap and they're garbage or they're just not as effective.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I would imagine there's a place where, from what I'm learning about her, is she seems very smart. She's so much calmer now. The reactivity is calmer now than it was just yesterday, because we have been going out every morning and twice during the day and at night, because I'm learning her patterns. You know, I don't want her to mess in the, you know, I'm just learning her patterns. So I'm making sure she has plenty of opportunity to go out. And the pinch collar made a difference, but it didn't, she's not yelping or something, and she's lunging against it. It's not hurting her that much.
Right.
It helped her with her heel, just because I'm yanking on it, and she gets the idea that, oh, I'm supposed to slow down, and then I give her a treat, and then we walk a few more steps, and when she pulls, so I think she'll be receptive. And I understand we don't want to get it so that she's afraid to go for a walk because it hurt her so much and she's yelping. We've got to find the right place, and that's where you'll help.
Yeah, and don't be surprised in the beginning if you did see what looked like depressed or mopey behavior, because nobody likes discipline, right? Yeah. And you know, if we're gonna get from point A to point B, like I don't know what Mia's gonna need. Yeah. But what makes me an effective trainer is I don't have limitations, because I know that dogs bite each other, and nothing that we're doing is going to ever do the damage of a dog bite, right? Right. But we can.
What I've done, I've actually, because of her behavior, I have one of these little like muzzles, the you know, not the hard one, just a muzzle. What do they call it? Yeah. And she knows now. Again, she's only learned this since yesterday, but she happily stands while I put that on her and I don't leave the pinch collar on all the time. That's her signal. Right. We're going for a walk. We put the collar on. She hates the muzzle. She calmly lets me put it on because she knows we can't go out otherwise.
Correct.
So I don't know. I just feel like to learn that since yesterday is pretty darn impressive. And to calmly let me do that. No growling, no moving her head around. So I think this is gonna, I'm very optimistic about how this will go. With your guidance, we'll find the right levels, and hopefully we won't lose any good behaviors that she has.
No, if you ever see her, like, you know, she's gonna be who she is. Yeah. Right. But when you put her under command, she's gonna shift. Like, you can't have a happy dog healing, you know, because that happiness is actually excitement. Yeah. And excitement can easily become reactivity. Now, I don't want a sad dog either. I want a calm dog. Right. But people often misinterpret calm for sad. You know? Yeah. So in the beginning, once she's learning and there's going to be a lot of discipline because we have to correct a lot of things, right? Yeah. Once she gets it and goes, oh, when mom says heel and I walk and I don't bark at dogs and I don't pull and I don't lunge and I sit when she stops, like everything's fine. Yeah. Then the dog starts to relax, you know, but that may take a little bit of time. Yeah. But nothing out the ordinary. Like, I'm not trying to make a robot, but at the same time, if that dog's going to keep her home, we need to stop the behavior. Yeah. Okay. This all sounds real good. When I decided to adopt, I've been thinking about it for a year. I was going to go with some little dog, but I'm used to big dogs, and I just thought, you know what, I'm going to get a big dog. And for me, 80 pounds is not a big dog. I'm used to Mastiffs and St. Bernards. I think it's a pretty good size. But
yeah, she's my little girl. Yeah. But I decided, just based on my experience in the past and mistakes I've made, I thought, you know what, I'm going to have a professional help me from day one so that we, you know, everything goes well. So I'm glad you're available. I'm assuming you're available.
Yeah, Maria will started. She'll reach out to you. Yeah. I don't talk about my calendar because it changes all the time. So.
Right, but I mean, she's not going to call and say, we don't have time until 2 weeks from now.
No, it really depends on your availability. Now, if you're only available, like let's say evenings and weekends, like
no, I don't even want to do it in the evening.
yeah.
I want to go during the day.
Okay, and then what I would suggest for the first class is that we go out at a moderately busy time.
Yeah.
Okay. So they, because I'm thinking, 80-pound dog lunging, and I'm not touching her, by the way. You're doing all the training.
Okay.
I'm there
That's
coaching.
good. That's good because I know too, and I've heard stories about this. She's going to be great with you.
Yeah.
And no, I'm glad. I like your style.
Yeah. So it's me coaching you. I will be there with you. It'll be a realistic environment. So we'll see the times that you're available, and then, kind of ease you into it. And then you have your homework. Yeah. And then week 2, then I go, okay, now let's go into a busier setting, as long as we're making that progress we're wanting to see. Okay.
Yeah.
So Maria will reach out. She'll break down the pricing for you. She'll send you the make and models that I recommended to you. I think you wrote them down if you want to do some research. If you need help finding them, let us know, and then I'll see what I can do. Okay. And then feel free, like I said, go to our YouTube channel. You can access it from our website. Just click on any video.
Well, you're on YouTube. If I can't, for whatever reason, I'm not good enough at the computer to reset the firewall. It's under Canine Perspectives on YouTube, right?
It's under my name, but if you search Canine Perspective, my videos should pop up.
And Jesse, what's your last name again?
It's San Miguel, S-A-N as in Nancy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, San Miguel. Okay, so I can find you. I have a YouTube channel too, Chicago Skyline Homes.
Oh, gotcha.
Need a condo, you call me. Okay, then I can find it even if I can't get on your website.
Oh, actually, I think if you go to Maria's emails, if you look at the bottom of her email, like, in the signature, you'll see, like, it'll say Instagram, YouTube, Facebook.
Oh, good.
And if you click on that YouTube one, it should take you straight to our channel.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
I'll check that.
Yeah. So yeah, she'll get in touch with you. And then, once you get your collar, I do recommend that you test it, make sure it's working. Read the manual. I will send you some videos for you to review to get you, so this way when we show up to the training, like, you're ready to go. Yeah. And then and I can also send you videos to use as a reference. So like, let's say you only have that hour with me, and I can send you some videos and say, like, hey, if you want to jump ahead a little bit, learn a little bit more about reactivity, here are some resources for you.
Okay, that would be good. Because this is kind of an emergency for me.
Yeah.
I don't know how other people tolerate. I see them out there, and Bob has told me there are other dogs like her, and they don't do anything about it. They just, and part of it is, if your dog is a 15-pound dog, you just yank on it and don't worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah, can't do that with an 80-pound dog. So
no.
Okay. So it was a pleasure, Stephanie.
Thanks, Jesse. Yeah.
If you need anything else, you let us know. But Maria will get in contact with you. Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good. Thank you so much. I think this is going to work out well. Okay.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.